not the browser I was on before this whole thing. So
Yeah, the recording has
okay.
started.
Okay, so last week we touched on this credit risks report,
Last
and
week.
I said last week, sorry. Last
Last month.
session, sorry, last session we touched on credit risks analysis, and I explained a lot of things about it. So I don't think I will be going into um all of that today. So I'm just going to go straight into Power BI. So let me share it. Sorry, let me join through this. Okay, can you guys see my Power BI screen?
Yes,
Okay.
I can from my end.
Okay, so this data was gotten from one of the report challenges that was hosted by Data DNA, I think last month. So let me go into how to get this data. I'm sure that most of us were not new to this, so I don't want to base more on that. So sorry, just give me a second. So we all know how to get our data. We have this new source menu here. You can get from any file. So this particular file is in Excel workbook. It's not a CSV. So you just click here to import your data. And once your data is imported, you're going to see all of that at the left side of on your queries pane. So um okay, should I just get that? So I'm going to go to this practical section. Let me enlarge this. Okay, so this is the data, and there are some few data cleaning um there's some few data cleaning and transformation to carry out in this particular data. So the first thing that you want to do is to come to your view, and you're going to enable this column profile, column distribution, so you can be able to see um your data, your profile. So I think we have about 32,000 rows here. If I do based on entire data, this is going to take a time. Okay, let me just keep it at 1,000 sha. So we can use this um column stars to be able to see our column stats, and we can go over to age. I want to see, okay, so we are seeing that.
Hello, Dara.
Hello,
Sorry for
can you hear
cutting
me?
you. Hello, Dara.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
sorry for
yes,
cutting you. Just to confirm, right? Can
okay.
we all see what she's doing on her screen? Let me be sure. So I'm sure it's just my network, right? Please, you can unmute and just speak. Can we all see the Power Query editor?
No,
I'm
I'm
not
not
seeing
seeing
the
Power
query.
Query.
I'm just
I'm
seeing
just seeing
yes.
only the Power BI platform. I'm
Okay.
not seeing the Power Query.
Okay, because I know your cursor was moving, but I was still on your Power Query. You are still on your Power BI desktop from my end, but I can see your cursor moving
Yes,
about.
exactly from my end too.
I wanted to be sure I wasn't the only one, so that was why I paused you.
Okay.
Maybe you shared just a window. I don't know.
Sorry, give me a second.
Okay, we can see.
Okay. Okay, so what I was saying was that we can see that, okay, guys, please give me a second. I don't know what's going on. Please, let me check. Okay. Okay, so I was saying based on of the column stats, you can be able to see or spot any errors within your data. So I can see that for this person's age column, we can see about the max here is 144. And we know that ideally in the reward situation, we know that we cannot have people that are, it's very hard to find people that are above, like, let's say 120 or so. So this is something that we have to look at in our data. Also, you have to also check the data types as well to see if it matches the ideal data type. So for this, Power BI has interpreted it as a whole number, but I'm going to change it to 1.2 because, okay, so I'm just going to add new step. So change it to 1.2. You can also spot some other things. For the rent, I would rather capitalize this. When it comes to like data viz, I would like to capitalize this. Okay, for the loan, I think this one is good. Loan amount, I think I'll change it to 1.2 decimal. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is a lot of columns, but I am going to simplify it. It's not all the columns I'm going to make use of actually. So let's fix some of the data cleaning issues. So for this age, if we look at it, you'd also see 1 to 2. So maybe we can just view it and see if there's any reason for this particular number. So we don't just go ahead to just delete those rows. This is equally important to us. So we need to know why this we have such age in this particular column. And we can see two outrageous numbers. If you decide to load more, you'd see where it ends. I think I'll just cancel this. So 144, 144. So I tried to look at, okay, let's see if it's pertaining to the same income, if there's just a random income given to them, but it doesn't seem like there's any abnormality. when the data was checked. I think I looked at this, but I saw other customers that were earning up to this amount. So it might not be related to the income. So I checked a lot of things, and one way I decided to handle this, let me cancel this, is by taking the, okay, since it's not a lot of null value, we can just replace by the middle number, which is the median. If I do transform and I say start and I say median, okay, 26. So I can actually replace that by 26, or this could actually just be an entry error. Maybe the person was supposed to put 23 or 44 and mistakenly put 1, or like I said, just general data entry errors. So this could be why as well. So you can either replace, maybe just say, oh, because there are just only 3 columns, I can replace by let's say 23 or 44, depending, especially if you look at the income and see like the average income of people that their ages are around this age, then you'll now be able to know, okay, how am I supposed to replace these values? But what I'm going to do is, let me just select that again. I'm just going to replace it by 26. So why I'm replacing it by the middle number is because if I decide to replace it by the mean, I'm going to skew my data. So that is why I used medium instead. So I'm going to replace values for 144, make it 26. And there are situations where you actually just exclude this data, but we want to be sure that we're not biased in any way. So I'm just going to replace that with 26. Okay, so I'm going to cancel my filter. Sorry. Let me allow that to load. Okay, so I'm going to cancel my filter now. And still be on the steps. Okay, one other thing I want to show, I know I don't have a lot of time to really look at this data because I've already cleaned it. So I'm just going to show you guys some steps because we actually run out of time. So one other data cleaning issue that you can look at is this column. I think it's this column. Let me check load more. Okay. Let's check all the columns. How many of these do we have? Okay, yeah. So this column, you can see home improvements, you can see debt consolidation. So you have to give this like a space. Just replace the value by a space and capitalize this. So you can do all of that at once. Let's just replace it. Say replace. So let me just show you guys an example of what you can do here and click OK. There's also errors in the debt consolidation as well. So if you replace this value, just add a little bit of space inside, right? So this is what you can do. And then you can pick all of your text data, for example. I put my hand on control to select this. So you select all of your, what's it called? All of your text data, and then you can just come to transform, format. You can do your trim, your cleaning, and then you capitalize. So that's basically how to handle this. I think you're going to look at it one after the other. And then for this it, this is to know if a borrower defaulted or not. So you can change this to yes or no. You can change this to yes or no. Um, what other thing do I want to touch on? Okay, so there's one more thing I want to touch on, which is the loan interest rate. I think I'm looking for it. Um, okay, loan interest rate. So this is why this particular profile is good, because you can see that we have about 10 empty cells here, and these are like interest rates pertaining to like the kind of loan grades that you were given. Or sorry, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Dara, we can hear you.
Okay, so the loan interest is pertaining to this loan grade. So what I did to be able to can see there's so many null values, so many. When you look at them, say you're trying to look at null values, there are so many of them. And if you decide to put the median can actually work, but at the same time you want to be fair with it, right? So we know that it depends on the type of loan grade that you were given that will determine like the interest rates. For example, now let's say okay, you're on Jumia and you want to get let's say a charger now. So for all of I might be a business person and I'll be like, oh, for all of the chargers that I'm going to sell on this platform, this is going to be the interest rate for this particular um product. So not all the products are going to have the same interest rate. So just relate that to this when we say loan grade. So it depends on the type of grade that will determine like the what's it called? The interest rate. So in order to be able to fill this with so the median was basically based off of the grade. It was grouped by the grade. So basically I am looking for the median in each of all of these grades, and then I'm going to now assign the grades to the interest rate. For example, what I did was I just clicked on my grade here and I selected group by. So let me come over to this practice session. Okay, this is going to take a lot of time. A lot of time. Um, okay, let me just show you from here. So if I click on group by, if I click on group by, I can name this, let's say, median loan rate, and I want to look for the middle number, and I'm going to base this column on the interest rate. Um, sorry. Okay, let's cancel this. Let's wait for that to load so I can show you guys what is. Okay, so basically I can just explain from here, Sha. So once you click that group by, you're going to see the late. So for each of these grade, you're going to get the median. And this median is what you're going to now assign to your interest rates. So you're just going to get a new column. Let me just do that again. Goodbye. Let's just say median. And I want to say middle number by um find that here. Okay. So basically, this is what I'm talking about. Your median loan rate, you're going to create an additional column, a conditional column that will reference this table, which is the median rate, after you've grouped it, so that any value that contains the null will contain the median of all of those grades. So that is basically how I was able to handle that null issue there. And there are other, what's it called? There are other columns that you can look at to see if there are any errors. You can also do some transformations, grouping them, your income, and all of those stuff. But I'm just going to do all of that in our Power BI. So let me disable this. And I'm just going to close this. Right. Okay. Let me see if you guys can still see my screen. Can you guys still see my screen?
Hello guys, can you see our screen in real time? Because for me, I'm still seeing your Power Query editor. Not anymore. Dara, not anymore. We can no longer see your screen. Okay, I think we are back on your desktop from my end.
Okay. Okay, so now I have brought that data into my Power BI. The only thing I didn't talk about was data modeling. Each of these dimension tables were gotten from the fact table. So they were removed from the fact table and a unique key was created. Duplicates were removed and a unique key was created so that there is some kind of one-to-many relationship between the dimensions and the fact. So now that is brought in, I'm just going to check my relationships. Okay, I think this is wrong. This is not what we want. So I'm going to delete this. Okay. Okay, I'm going to delete this and I'm going to assign the grade to the grade. And you can see here one-to-many. So I'm going to save this and do the same for all of these columns. Sorry, make sure that loan ID one-to-many relationship. So I'm going to save that. Okay. So I'm just going to drag the client's ID to client's ID and um, just okay. And I need to drag my geography ID to this. One too many. Okay. So the next thing that I want to start doing is to quickly create our one-page report. And I guess we'll just be focusing on achieving this one-page report. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is to create my total. Okay, so first of all, let me just give you a brief description because I was meant to show you what the brief was about, but I'm just going to tell you what this particular sorry, give me a second. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you what this particular dashboard was about. So the goal was to help this particular bank to understand their overall health of their lending portfolio and identify borrowers groups that contributes to like the most default risks. So I started by some creating some matrices like loan amount, approval rate, default rate. Then I also went about to segment by the income, the debt debt to income ratio, the ages, and the likes, right? So at the end of the day, it's just to see who is defaulting most so that this particular company can take actions, right? And they can also use these means to define success, what success looks like in their business. So, and it can also help like banks kind of like adjust their lending strategies for all of these segments. So at the end of the day, you're going to communicate to your clients that this is the recommendations, these are the insights I found, and these are the recommendations to help you solve this particular problem. So I will go ahead to start creating my measures. And to create my measures, I will just click on enter data. And I'm doing this so I can create a special table for my measures. And I'm going to load this. Okay. Okay, so I'll come over here and start creating my measures. Okay, and one measure that I want to create is the total amount. So I'm just going to say total amount equals to sum. And I'm going to reference the fact table on client ID. Sorry, on loan amounts. Sorry. So let me just bring in one so we can see what it is about. I'm going to drag it here. So this is one KPI. And the next one that we're going to create is our total loans. So I'm just going to see total loans equals sum. Sorry, I can just do count rows of client ID. Yes. So facts, client ID. I'll just see count rows of facts and click on new measure. Okay. So the next KPI is our loan approval rate. So what this does is it calculates the count rows. I can come here and just do bring total loans here. It's still the same thing. So it calculates the count of the fact, and then for every loan status that is equals to 0 means that it was approved. It was approved, and I'm going to divide that by the count of the facts to be able to get the rate. So I'm going to copy this and do the same for default rates and call this default rate and say 1. So if it's equals to 1, it means that they defaulted. Okay. I'll just delete this from the model. Yes. Okay. Create a new measure, which is the average, say average interest. And let's do this as percent. Yeah, average interest percent. So this is referencing our cleaned interest rate, the one where we brought in our medians for each of the loan grades and we assigned it to the fact. We assigned it to average to be able to get average interest. So I'm just going to click on commit. And then the last KPI that we're going to be touching is portfolio yield. So this is to just be able to see how our portfolio is performing. So we're just going to sum the facts, we're going to iterate through the rows, and then we're going to times the loan amounts by the interest rate to be able to get the yield rates. So we are just going to do that here. Okay. Okay, let me just quickly do something in this. I can change the call out to white. Call out value to white. Change this. You know what? Let me give this a very light gray and then change the background. So sometimes I like to do this so that I won't have so much load when it comes to visualizing the data. So I'm just going to copy this and bring in our loan approval rate. Can always put this to percent. Okay. And I would say our default rate, do the same. Give it a percentage. Bring in average interest rate and give this a percentage. Yield. Same with this. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to be able to create, we want to be able to show our loan amounts, let's say our loan amounts, our loan approval rate, default rate by the income. So what we have to do is, if we, okay, let's go to our table now and search for income. We have to be able to give this some kind of grouping. So we can say for so range, less than or greater than so amount, you're going to group them. So it depends on your company and what they decide to track. So some people can say, oh, low income. Some people can say lower middle class. Some people can say upper middle. It just depends on the terms that your company is most conversant with. So what I would do for this particular column is to create a calculated column. Just create a new column. Guys, I'm going to be doing more of copying and pasting because I know that we're out of time. So I'm just going to explain this. So what this does is that it uses let me take this down. Okay. So what this does, it just switches between, if this what's it called? If this logic is true. So if it's true, it then performs all of this, right? So for the ages that are below 20,000, this is how I want to group it, or this is what I want to see. Same goes for ages that are between 2,000 and 5,000. This is what I want to see. So that's basically what this income band is about. And creating this income band, we also have to create a sort for it, because I'm going to show you now in an example. If I say, let's bring in our Zoom chat viz. Okay. So if I bring in my total amount, I didn't explain what Zoom chat is about. So Zoom chat is a special kind of visualization that allows for like interactivity. Is one of a tool that I prefer to use because of just that level of interactivity. You don't really have to do a lot of filters. Like you can do visual level filters and you'll be able to get your insights as quick as possible. So that is why I use Zoom chat for this particular analysis. So you won't really see me using your default Power BI chat. So in case you're not conversant with Zoom chat, then I guess this is an opportunity to pick a tool. So for Zoom chats, if I go over to my series is more like my y-axis in this case. So I can bring in any value here. I can do my series 1, I can do my series 2, and I'll bring in that income category that we just created. I think this is it, right? So let me zoom this. So if I try to sort this chart, let's say I try to sort by income band, you're going to be seeing how this is not even in organized manner. Like you're seeing upper, you're seeing lower here, you're seeing affluent, and you want to be able to sort it in maybe ascending or descending order in a very what's the word now? In a very good manner. So we're having low income, and then maybe the next thing we see is our low middle, and then maybe our affluent, high net worth. That's what we want to achieve. So what I have to do is I'm just going to go to my table view, and I'm going to click on table. So, okay. So this is a reusable code for any sort table that you want to create. So in DAX, there's a function called data table that you can use to create tables that are not in your original data tables. So you can be able to use this kind of table for your analysis. It's very easy to use actually. So what it does is it takes in the column names and the data type. So you have to specify what you want for the field name, and then specify the data type as well. And after you're done specifying, you can do about more than two columns. And once you're done specifying, you then input the data. So this is how I want it to flow. So the first one is the income band. So I stated here that this is what I want to see, or these are the attributes I want to see in this particular these are the rows I want to see in this particular column. And these are the sort number. So I'm sorting by one. This will come first, this will come second, this will come third, like that. So this particular code can be reusable for any band that you're creating, be it age or whatever. And one thing is that you have to make sure that this label is similar to what we have in our income category. So if it's not the same, is not really going to it will skip this particular row. So you have to make sure that the labels are correct. So I'm just going to click OK. And for this type of table, you don't need to create any sort of relationship. Sorry, I just made a very big mistake. You actually need to create relationships between this table. It's not exactly a virtual table. Okay. That's it. Okay, so I'm just going to locate that table. I'm going to come here and I'll say sort by the sort order. Okay, so I'm going to remove this income band and I'm going to replace it with what I have here, or what I have created, right? So this works now. So this is total amount by the income band. So let me just do some few visualizations here. Let me try and make this better so that we can copy and paste them. So I think we have to change the color. You can just make the, okay. This is my y-axis. I can just increase the font size. That's if it will increase. The visual table and increase the font size a bit. Okay. Change this to 80. Let's just give it a random color. Let's see this. Okay, no. The outline to this. Stick this instead. Okay. So I know a lot of people usually ask me, how do I make my charts rounded, my bars rounded? So this is one of the way, using zoom chart. Let me make this into grids so I have a wider view, because I want to show this by loan grid. So I'll just drag loan grid from the dimension table to the legend. Okay. Let's change that. I can customize this particular series, and this is what I want to see. So zoom chart sometimes is very is at first, when you want to use it, it will be very difficult to like navigate some of all of these things. But I think when you get a hang of it, it becomes easy to an extent. Okay, so what we have here is very much similar to what I have in my dashboard. Very similar. I think the only thing I did was to turn on the threshold. So I'm trying to show the averages. So I can come here and say I want to see change constant to average. So you see the red line. So this just shows the users like where the average is, if it's above average or below average. And I can add the label here and say average. Okay, so it's not so visible. Let me give it something like this so you can see it clearly. Okay, sorry. Okay, So you can see the average for each of these grade or each of these grades. So I'm trying to find the color of this. I'm trying to find the color. Can give it a column padding of 15. 15. Few color setting. Okay, let me just search color. Okay, so the next thing that we have to create, the second chart that we have to create is our DTI risk category. That's our debt to income ratio. And if we go to our data, I think under facts, debt to income, let's search it. DTI. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new column. Calculated column. Okay, so you cancel this. So this DTI category is still the same thing as the income. You just copy the code and then you paste it, you reference the particular column in the fact table and then assign the values. So you're saying for any ratio that is less than 0.2 is at a low risk, and same goes for any value that is between 0.2 to 0.35 is in the moderate risk. So it's still the same thing. And if you click on this, you just need to pay attention to how your label is written, so you can create your sorts from this. And I'm going to go to tables and click on new table. So same thing with our income. You specify the table name. I want a column for sorting where I would have numbers ranging from 1 to 5, and then have my DTI risk, which is a string, which this is what I want to be seen on, let's say, my axis pane, and it must be the same thing with what I have in my DTI category. So I'm just going to save that and create the connection. Okay. So I'm just going to create that connection, one to many connection, and I'm going to save that. Okay. So what I have to do is I can just easily copy and paste this. Copy and paste this. I still want to be able to see our risks category by the loan grade. I also want to see which loan grade is prone to risks. So I have my total amount, my loan grade. So I'm going to remove my income band and I'm going to look for my risk. I'm going to sort this. First of all, sort this by the order. And then bring this to my category. So I have something like this. Also going to come here and go to my format pane, click on threshold, and let's make this visible. Okay, I think if I zoom in, I'll be able to see it clearly. So this is another way we can be able to show total amounts by their loan grade. So the next chart is our loan intent. So we want to be able to see, our total amount. We want to be able to see what income band we see our borrowers, right? We want to know if our borrowers are under the low income class and want to see their purpose of, getting that loan, to be able to know if it's associated, so we know how to better re-strategize. So for that intent, I think we have, if I search for intent here, I'm going to see something like, I think about about 6 columns, 6 rows, sorry. So I just want to see maybe like the top 3 of the loans. So the ideal chart is my donut chart or my pie chart, whichever one that I choose. I can also decide to use a bar chart so I can display all of these categories. So I'm just going to expand this a little bit and I'm going to say loan amount. Okay, let me just search amounts. Going to under my values, and then I'm going to search for intent. And remember that we are not picking loan intent from the fact table. We are doing that from the dimension table. So let me just zoom in a bit. So this is about, they are closely related, just let's say a point difference between all of them. So I'm just going to make these 3. I can go to the donuts and I can reshape this. However, okay, I can bring it front. Let's make it a little bit slower. Okay, this is better. Let's see 70. Yes, okay, this is better now. And here you can see the number of slices. So let me make this 3. Great. So basically, I can say, I can come here and still be able to see my remaining, what's it called? My remaining intents. But for now, I just want to show like the top 3 of loan intent. So Okay. Um, you make this 15. Okay. This color is black. Okay. So we have something like this. So let me show you how this Zoom chat visual actually works. So if I select education, you can see that it will filter all of these. You can see that our total amount has changed, our loan approval rate has changed. Let me zoom out a bit. If I decide to click medicals, you can see how it changes all the chart. I don't have to even use filters to be able to filter through these numbers. So the next thing I want to see is my map, right? I want to see which countries are prone to default rates or which countries borrow the most money. And most times, depends on where you're working, would they would always require you to show them a map fees, maybe instead of a bar chart or something. So how you present your data or how you present with your visuals depends on what your users can understand or what they are conversant with, especially if you are working with an organization. So I decided to use a map. So the Zoom Charts map visual is called Shape Map Pro. So if I select this, I can, sorry, let me drag this here. Let me delete this and do it again. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to bring in my if I go to my geography, I'm going to see city latitude and city longitude, and I can easily just drag that into this pin, drag the longitude, and say the value should be what have you using total amount. I'm just going to drag that here. Okay, so I'm going to format this. I think this is good. Just to give it a little bit of color. Let me try this and see if it works. Okay, so I can put the color code of FO2424 as red. I can change the shape to like droplets. Okay, I think it's coming. Okay. So I can go over to the last series, which is our shape layer, and I can let's see. Let's make this black also. Say the opacity should be 50. Let's see. This white is 100. Okay, that's too much. Okay. Next thing that we need to do is to turn on inside label. Let's see. Let's increase this font size to 18. Okay. Okay. And change this to 80 for something more transparent. Say 50. So we just give it an inside label of 50 opacity, background color black. So we've kind of formatted it in case of scenarios like this where we have 35 and it's very small, so it's visible to the user. So I think we've succeeded in creating some of these. I think one other thing I wanted to touch before probably the end is how to create field parameters and how you can also create your dynamic chart title. So in order to be able to create your field parameters, so by then you would have developed all of this, you'd have written all of these measures, and then what you have to do is go to your model and click on new parameters, click on field parameters, right? So what I'm trying to achieve is that whenever the user wants to click total amount, or rather I can put it like this: whenever the user wants to view this, okay, the user is viewing total amount, kind of like the user experience is that I can easily click total amount here and it filters all of my charts. instead of using maybe like a slicer, um, or any of these visuals. So I want to be able to slice through all of these data using these matrices that we have here. So that is why I'm creating what I'm creating. And I can actually just call these KPIs. Sorry, small letter. And then I'm just going to bring in my total amount. Let's say total amount. So it has to follow the order, right? So if total amount comes first, that's the first thing that you're going to click here. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get it wrong. So I'm just going to say known amounts. See this as default rate, average interest, and loan portfolio. Loan, okay. So I've selected all of these in the same order. If they are different order, you can just come here and switch it. So I'm going to now click here. If this is turned off, click here and click on create. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to change this to button slicer. Mm, and change it to horizontal. Maximum button should be about 5. 5, yes. Mhm. The icons, move the background as well. Um, and I'm going to click on force selection here because I want to be able to select only one value individually. Let me increase this to 40 baud. Okay. Okay. Sorry. say select head. Okay. Turn off our callout values. So for the border, we can just change that color to white. Okay. This for my selected. Okay, sorry. Okay. So I can just place that on top of here. And I can check the spacing. Okay, 20. Okay, I think this is something that has to be played around with to be able to get the exact what's it called? The exact spacing between it. Okay, 5 is kind of good. Okay. Okay, so you'd spend so much of your time trying to um put this in order just to make sure that everything is aligned and everything is well. So I guess the last thing for me to talk about is the dynamic card visual. And I don't know if there are other ways to do it, but this is the way that I know. I can just say called increase this a bit. Okay. So in order for us to be able to create that dynamic chart title, we need to, like I said, when we created the field parameter, you need to pay attention to the order in which they are placed. So for total amount, you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So based off of this order, that is how we are going to be able to easily create the title. The first thing I want to do is create a measure, and that measure may sorry. So we're going to have something like this, and what this basically does is that it switches the selected values, right? So if I select, for example, okay, let me just save this. Okay, I'll explain this. So if I say if I select my total amount from the from this parameter that I just created, it's going to assign that switch statement based on anything I select here. So if I select total amount, it will be based on total amount. So I'm going to now change this particular code to KPI. So we can see KPI and we can see the KPI order. Let me just delete this. This is not part of the code. So this is the name of our parameter. If I scroll down, this is the name of our parameter here. So I am doing that based off of the order. So I can come here and fill the remaining. Let me just see. Let's just do this. Let's see, copy and my commands, the interest rates. I'll change the order to 3 and use my comma, change the order to 4 and say something like this. Portfolio yield. So I want to base it on income band. So let's save this. Okay. So basically you can go over to the chart title. Let's use this for an example. Since it's based on income band, I can just come here, click on title and click on the FX here. So I can select a field value, which is the income band title, and I'll click OK. So you can see how it changes. Let me increase the font size a bit so it's visible. So let me select my total amount, loan approve. Okay, I think this is meant to be approval rate, default rate. You can see how it changes. Then you can also bring this to a card vis, right? You can bring it to a card vis in a situation where you're using card vis to display these metrics. So let's see, income title. Okay, you can have something like this, and you just remove the label and maybe reduce the colors value to like 16 and 20. So basically this is how you can do it as well. So now this is just for one chart. You have to do this for all other charts in this page, so that whenever I click on total amount, it reflects. Whenever I click on default rate, it reflects. So basically this is just a few visuals for page 1, and I know that we are already out of time, Gabriel.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sure, we're already out of time. I don't know if anybody has a question. Well, personally, I would just like to ask for people who don't know, how do we get this Zoom visual? What can we do to get them on our Power BI? I think is one question I would love you to address so that others can be able to know.
Okay, so let me navigate to the place where I have that. I think it's on this. Okay. Okay, so basically this is the Zoom chat platform. If you search Zoom chat online, you can see, let's say zoomchat.com. You can see some of their visuals. But here I already signed in to my account. And whenever you want to participate in any challenge, you'll be given a license. But I think they've stopped that. Yeah, I think they've stopped that. So right here, you can just see get developer's license, but you need to sign in and okay, and yeah, you need to sign in. And I think they assigned this to me recently because the initial one I had expired. So you can be able to download the developer's license to be able to have access to their charts. And once you download that, you can okay, sorry, let me just share my entire screen because okay. So basically once you click on download, you get this visual team license here. So you can use any of their visuals as long as you have this. And all you have to do is to come over here, come over to view, and then you're going to import that theme. So you're just going to browse for that theme, and then let's see. Look at this is it. So if once I click on, I already have this in my Power BI. So once you click on this, you'll be able to use this visualization. And also one other way you can also get it is if you come over to this build visuals, get more visuals. Um just allow that to load. And then if you search for Zoom chart, I can just say app source Zoom chart. This is their charts that you can bring to Power BI as well. So yeah, I guess that answers the question.
All right, Dara, I think that will be all from our end. Thank you for showing up. Thank you so much. Even with the whole network issue and everything, you still showed up, and we tried to finish everything within time. Thank you so much. All right, okay. Somebody has a question. I think somebody's hand is up. Don't take that question
Yeah.
and then. All right, Ibukun.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma. I really want to appreciate you for really taking your time to explain to us. There's just this one thing that has been bothering me, especially once we're using this tool, this Power BI is these KPIs, these key performance. What are the factors that determine it? How do we pick it? How do I know that okay, this one is going to be my KPI? That's still the one major challenge I have. Is it from the statement problem or from what we are given? How do I pick the KPI? Thank you.
Okay. So I know that this is one topic that is very confusing, but the thing is that KPIs, you can actually pick it from the company. for example, if you're working in a specific company and this is what they usually use to track their performance or to be able to
Okay.
measure success rates and all of those stuff, that is how you'll be able to get
Okay.
those your key performance indicator. So most of the times when you're working on challenges like this, like data challenges like this, you're just doing that based off of like assumptions or what they
Okay.
generally
Okay.
track in the real world scenario. So based off of your research
Okay.
and yeah, and all of that.
Okay. Okay.
So it's usually tied to the business goals or the business
Yes.
objectives.
What? Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Dora. So that we don't take much of your time, we'll just end it here, right? And so guys, we'll be having another section on the 15th, which is going to be our last section in the series of 4 that we want to do it now. So please just pay attention to the group and then to our social media handles, and we'll share all of that with you. Thank you. Do have a wonderful night and good night. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing.